Well, here it is, another crystal confab, and today we are going to dive into, I would argue, is one of the most important minerals in any crystal person's toolkit, and that's kyanite. And I'm excited to explore why with Adam and Nicholas today. Are you two
Yes,
as excited?
we are excited. But I'm really intrigued by that comment where you said it's one of the most important tools that someone should have in their crystal collection. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'd love to know why you think that.
Well, I will dive into that a little bit more in my section of the confab, but I think it works so well on so many levels. Just your regular blue kyanite works so well on so many levels, but all of the different variations in color, the green, the orange, the ocean, the black, there is so much that we can gather from it. Gemologically speaking, I love kyanite because it's one of the few minerals that shows directional hardness. So from one direction, the hardness is 7, from the other is about a 5. And so it has this, depending on the way things are coming from, you can be stronger or less strong. Like it kind of brings us into understanding ourselves a bit better, our own strengths and weaknesses. It's also very pleochroic. It shows different variations in color from the directions that you look in it. So it shows perspective. It is strong. It is, for me, all about alignment. And I have done some very deep personal work with kyanite through my journey, both physically and spiritually.
Yeah, I get a feeling as we were kind of preparing for this week's conversation that we've all had some really kind of profound or deep experiences with kyanite and definitely wouldn't hand over our kyanite easily because it is valuable tools for us in different ways. Nicholas, how do you find kyanite to be really helpful for you?
This property that Kyle hit on already is one of, I think, the biggest clues to how kyanite works for us. So it's an aluminum silicate mineral. It's in a family of other aluminosilicates that are usually good indicators in the field of the intensity of metamorphic activities in a given rock. We can find them in a bunch of other environments as well, but that tends to be the staple in which it occurs. It is found in a range of colors. We usually think of blue, green, and black. Maybe we've met some orange kyanite, but you can find it in really drab grays and browns and transparent. I've heard tell in field guides of there being pink kyanite. I've never seen it with my own two eyes, but it might be so subtly pink I couldn't see it anyway, being colorblind. But it is a mineral that we find in fair abundance throughout the world. It has a number of really important applications technologically and in industry. We use it in the making of refractory ceramics and porcelains. It's really important in the steel industry. If you drive any kind of vehicle powered by internal combustion, you also can do that thanks to kyanite, because of the type of ceramic that's used in the production of spark plugs. Now, of course, if you don't drive one of those kinds of cars, as there are other kinds out there these days, your mileage may vary. No pun intended, I promise. Um, so, kyanite for me is about bridging realities, making connections between one frame of reference and another. And this variable hardness is one of the keys to understanding this. So, as Kyle said, if we measure the hardness against one axis or in one direction, it's going to be significantly stronger than in the other. So, it's important to note that hardness is resistance to abrasion. It is not the same as tenacity. It is not other kinds of signs of strength. There are some kyanites that are, in fact, quite brittle because they're individual sheets of crystals kind of grouped together. So, for me, kyanite allows us to know how to handle a given situation, how to kind of take the frame of reference that we've got and bridge it to some other experience. In meditation and psychic development and dream work and all of the kind of woo-woo stuff, it's learning to bridge the material and the immaterial. And it grants us the stamina, the strength, the ability to pierce through that veil just right with just the right amount of sensitivity, but also on account of its pleochroism, its ability to bend light in different ways as it moves to different axes. It can also illumine different parts of the mind or different parts of the experience we're having to better understand and integrate them. What I love about its crystal structure is that this is one of our more abundant triclinic minerals that are out there. And those, as I've talked about in the past, there are the crystal group that have the least amount of symmetry, the least amount of order. They still have quite a lot, or they wouldn't be crystals. But they're not made out of perfectly stacked cubes or alignments of triangles or other things that are very, very, very symmetrical. Instead, they have a kind of, shall we say, lopsidedness to them. They're very directional and they point us in the direction that we're moving in. Now, there's a bit of, we'll say, a kind of modern day folklore surrounding kyanite that begins with the publication of a series of books in the 1990s that states that kyanite is one of two crystals that never needs cleansing or clearing. I don't personally experience that in my life. But I think what might generate that kind of personal gnosis is its ability to meet things exactly as they are, to bridge the internal and the external, the material, the immaterial, the mental, and the beyond. It's not necessarily going to feel like it is getting in the way of those experiences. So it might feel as if it's not holding on to or retaining harmful or erratic energies. Instead, it's got this process of like smoothing things out, speeding them, in part thanks to its kind of silicate structure. But coming back to this use in spark plugs and other kind of refractory purposes, there is something very magical in kyanite in the way that it ignites things when we feel stuck, when we feel stagnant, when looking at the status quo isn't helping. It gives us a little dose of inspiration, a new way of looking at things. It bridges where you are with where you want to be. And at the same time, it gives you a little push to start the process of getting there. And that's one of the reasons that I really love kyanite.
Hmm. It was interesting hearing you talk about, possible pink kyanite and the different shades that are available. One that I've seen mentioned only in the last few months that I'd never heard of it before was yellow kyanite. Nicholas, have you ever heard of yellow kyanite?
I've not personally seen it, but given the color range that it comes in, it makes sense. The right kind of iron, maybe some manganese, other trace minerals could give us a yellow color. It might also just be, we'll say, a very dilute version of the orangey kyanite that we find from Tanzania.
Yeah, very true. Kyle, you've ever seen yellow kyanite?
The only like yellow that I've ever seen is like really insipid. Like it's barely yellow. Like it's that kind of triphany, kind of really soft. You could be a
Mm,
little bit green depending on the light that you look at it in. Yeah, not to
yeah.
my obvious eyes.
Oh well, we'll keep exploring that one. But I really love kyanite, and it's been a real asset for me throughout my crystal working life as a protective crystal. Now, when I say protective, I'm not necessarily alluding to the way that I would use necessarily maybe a black crystal or tiger's eye or numite for kind of deflecting that kind of dangerous energies or energies you want to avoid and that type of thing as well. When I work with kyanite, I always describe it as being like spiritual barbed wire. And it's like if I was to put you out in a log cabin in the middle of the forest by yourself, where your partner, your friends, your family, your work just can't contact you for a long period of time. And what would probably happen is you'd probably find that you'd fall back into alignment and everything would be really balanced and your health would probably improve and your mental health and all these different types of things. Now, unfortunately, we can't all spend our lives out in the middle of nowhere in log cabins. So, kyanite is that spiritual barbed wire that helps to fend off too much of that energy. Now, if you happen to be a Gemini or have a lot of Gemini energy, this for me is a really great tool. We're renowned for being social butterflies, myself as a Gemini, and so we are kind of susceptible to taking on a lot of people's energy as we bounce from one person to the next. But I think anyone who's in any public facing role with their job or anytime you go out into large masses of people, this can be a really powerful crystal to have with you. Now, this is where I kind of love how Mother Earth works, and we've been alluding to the different colors. And, some of the common ones are probably the indigo one is the most common, but we then have the orange and the green are also there as well. And as I was kind of contemplating the colors one day, I was thinking about people who are empaths that take on the emotional energy of other people. And from my experience, and I'm generalizing a bit here, but talking to people that feel this energy from other people, they feel it in one of three ways. They'll either feel it, like they take on the thoughts and the mindset of those around them. They'll feel it in their heart, or they'll get this gut feeling from other people as well. And this is where I love how Mother Nature has kind of corresponded so beautifully, because we have an indigo one that kind of resonates with the third eye chakra. And I find for empaths that take on the mental energy of other people, this can be really powerful. For those that take on the emotional or the heart energy of other people, we have the beautiful green. And then for those that kind of get that more belly or gut feeling and that type of thing, orange kyanite can be really great as well. Now, I'm kind of summarizing it in my separate YouTube videos. I kind of go through how to work with them a little bit more in that way. But I think especially around this time of year, it can be really great to reach your kyanites as well. You see, we have a really interesting retrograde coming up, and it's Hygeia retrograde. Now, Hygeia is one of the largest asteroids in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, and Hygeia sounds very similar to hygiene. That's because that's where the word basically came from this goddess. Hygeia is an asteroid that governs our hygiene and our health and our well-being. And hopefully, as you've learnt from our over 50 episodes when I talk often about retrogrades, when a planet or an asteroid or a dwarf goes into retrograde, what happens is they take their energy away and challenges can often come up. So what you may find around this time is that your health may be challenged, or you may have some little kind of niggly things that kind of start to annoy you, with a sore knee that you need to tend to, or your eyesight gets a little bit worse. And this is an opportunity for you to pay attention to the body temple. Although we talk about spirituality, we all know that the state of our physical body determines the enjoyment of our journey along the way. And so this is a really great time to check in with that. Now, ill health can be summarized in two basic causes. Either you're not getting enough of the good stuff, or you're getting too much of the bad stuff. And kyanite can work really, really well at helping to shield you from some of that bad stuff. Now, I'm not saying that, carry or wear a piece of kyanite and you can eat sugar and you're not going to, have problems with your blood sugar levels and diabetes and different things like that. What I'm saying is sometimes the things that impact our health are not necessarily the physical, but they're the mental or the energetic. We live in a world that is very demanding and wants us to do a lot. There are always people telling us what we need to do. Hey, I need your attention. I need this done by yesterday, and so on. And sometimes it might be good around this time to just grab some kyanite, put that spiritual barbed wire on there, and stop taking on everyone else's expectations and demands. I think to be able to come back to your own equilibrium, and kyanite helps you to do that on all the different levels really well. And so I'd really encourage you to get the kyanite out, have it available, and think about what you're taking on, and are you taking on too much from a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual perspective from the world around you, and you're getting too much of the bad stuff, and there's no room for enough of the good stuff. Simple things like getting out in the sunlight, getting a good night's sleep, nourishing air, nourishing water, nourishing food, and so on. So this one really helps to redirect and reharmonize you in all the ways we need to be to enjoy that physical body temple. So that's how I really love it. Kyle, tell us a little bit about your experiences with kyanite.
Before I do, I'm curious. You, Mr. Oils McGee, do you have like a particular one for each flavor? Like, is there one that you feel connects more to your blue, to your green, to your orange, to your black, to maybe align those energies a bit stronger?
Yeah, I can take you through that journey really, really quickly. So the black one, I also love how black kind of fans out as well. I think this is a really great one I kind of think again, like it's almost got that barbed wire. And a really great one I'd recommend gritting it around homes when you do feel that there's negative energy maybe being thrown at you. Maybe you've got issues with a neighbor or something like that. Gritting that around, it's almost as though the bad energy gets caught on that. This I would pair with clove. Now, clove is really, really great. It's amazing for our immune system. It's an oil of boundaries from a metaphysical point of view. So it allows you to take back control of what you allow into your life and what you don't. It's referred to where it grows in Southeast Asia as the flower of the gods. And what's unique about clove essential oil is it doesn't come from a flower, it comes from the flower bud. Now, how do we become godlike or fulfill our spiritual destiny? It's by having those boundaries and not being pulled from one place to another. So that's what I love for the black. For the green, citronella. Again, what an oil does physically, it does metaphysically. So citronella, it stops mosquitoes sucking our blood. Metaphysically, it stops energy vampires draining that energy as well. So it works really well. Works well with a lesser known chakra, the spleen chakra, which protects and rules our ki and our life force coming in and out of our body. So it goes really well with that. The other great thing I love about the indigo kyanite is that it works really, really beautifully with the intuition, and kind of a lot of the time our intellect gets in the way that blocks our intuition. There's an amazing Australian essential oil known as Rosalina. It's also known as swamp paperbark. It's a part of the Melaleuca or the tea tree family that grows near water. And Rosalina has this amazing ability to help us be a bit more adaptable and flexible. And I find with the indigo kyanite, really great with that. And for orange, there's a Chinese tree that gives us this beautiful oil from its the resin within the tree known as sweet gum. And it's really good for adaptability as well. And so that pairs really nicely with the orange. So in short, black with clove, green with citronella, orange with sweet gum, and the blue with Rosalina.
That's awesome. Really, really cool. So for me, let's digress and go into something else. For me, kyanite has been very much a twofold lesson. For me, connecting to kyanite first was physical. Secondarily, it was more mental and spiritual. As I have mentioned before previously, I have chronic back problems. I have bulging discs through several places in my lumbar system. And one of my first connections to kyanite was reading about it as that, like, connecting the spinal column, connecting the chakra column. And I got myself a piece a bit bigger than this, and I actually put it in my bed underneath where I sleep to help with my back. And when I allowed it like a long period of time, I found myself waking up better because I had a less restless sleep, if that makes sense. I was more aligned whilst I was sleeping, and that allowed my back, I think, a lot of reprieve and a lot of support. You know, you're stationary generally for the longest period of time when you're sleeping, so it can work on you for the longest period of time. So it was helping drastically as I was very much moving out of hospitality and into all of this. It was kind of supporting me in that way. And then it became about understanding the lessons. Why is the back pain there? Why do the discs bulge? Where is the deeper connection to it? Where have I not supported myself? Where have I not been in alignment to where I should have been? Where have I not taken care of myself properly and allowed myself to kind of overextend, overdo? Subtlety is not my area of expertise. More is my attitude to all aspects of life. And it is necessary for me to know that more is not always more. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes rest is more. Sometimes doing less is a much more important thing. And I've, over these kind of 15 plus years, really learned to listen to what my back is telling me, because the different parts of my back are telling me different things compared to where my pain is, will tell me where my stresses are, right? Lower back for me is bigger, like it's more connected to those around me. as well as myself and that impact. Whereas when I go into my upper back, it's more about my own emotional state. When it gets into the neck, communication becomes maybe an issue. And it's really important now that I tune into that kind of radar system. And it's been, pieces like this that show that long, straight kind of formation. I line it up next to me, underneath me, and it can be really, really supportive of finding place. And that's where like alignment really came into the fore later as I've journeyed with it. Being where you need to be, knowing where you are right now is always perfect, and you can always be more perfectly in alignment through a little bit of work, through a little bit of nuance, through a little bit of this way or that way. Do you need to tap into your emotion? Do you need to be more intuitive at the moment? Should I meditate more? Do I need to take care of my physical vessel? It helps to kind of nudge and push, where am I and where can I be better? Where could I be that is more supportive? Am I currently in a place just not good for me? Or am I currently around people that are not good for me? Am I currently doing something that is not good for me? Do I need to shift that instead of being like beating yourself up about it and going, oh, you've done this and this is why this is a problem? You go, okay, what can I do to get me out of this place? Right? It takes that sort of hopelessness away. It takes that like I can't, and it helps you to go, okay, I can. Or what can I do? What is achievable? What is within my realms of capability? Where can I direct my energy and where is it going to be the most useful? I find that ability to be more conscious of where you are making your energy wasted and where you can kind of rein it in is a really great aspect of the way Kyanite works. It shows you that there is a path, even if it's not fully evident where it is going. It will show you the steps so that you can then take the next steps and it becomes clearer. The more you sort of follow that path, the more it opens up, the clearer it becomes, the clearer you become. It is like the more you do, the more you get from it. If you're just doing little bits, you'll get enough. But I feel like when you invest more into Kyanite, you get more out of it as well. And I think more recently it's been with the varied colors, like the blues I absolutely love and will always love. I still have my very first piece. This is my first little deep blue piece of Kyanite, but I've loved exploring the other ones. As Adam mentioned, black Kyanite, I would actually argue black Kyanite is one of the best protective crystals that is not spoken about. The way it kind of pushes things away, I think is incredible. And it's so funny that you mentioned the fence thing. I've literally done this on a fence line, and neighbors have moved out that were problematic. No joke. Selenite and Kyanite with black pepper and salt. It works. It definitely worked. But I also love the green, the orange, the ocean. Our lucky, lucky country, Australia, has ocean Kyanite, and it's that kind of rich teal tone. You do find some in Tanzania. This is a piece that's Tanzanian, and they aren't, I've seen, as necessarily as rich in that tone, but still just as beautiful. And for me, there is this bridging of heart and head that comes from ocean Kyanite, not jasper, that I find really useful. Sometimes we battle head and feelings, and I find it really supportive of helping you to go, they're both important. Listen to each other. Why is one yelling and the other one not listening? Like, let's find some balance. Let's listen to your feelings, listen to your thoughts, find a bit of harmony within, and then move forward. That's where I found it really, really lovely. The green Kyanite I find really helpful for a bit of zest, a bit of like, I'm going to be social. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to do things that make me feel good because my heart wants it. And when I do things that make me feel good, I feel good. And when I feel good, I'm a better version of myself. So it kind of allows you to take pleasure in life, enjoy, kind of do what your heart desires. And that's when orange, which is actually my favorite flavor of Kyanite, comes into the fore. For me, this is a little, like, it's almost a Japan law twin, but it's not, and now it's jumping. It's a really cute little like fanned twin and then beautiful long piece. I love orange Kyanite because it's like, get your head out of the way. Stop thinking. Just do something, take action, do something that is creative, dance, listen to some music, write, go to the beach and play in the waves, get out in the sunshine and move your body. It is like movement, creation, making things happen. And it is from within. I find kyanite, like it brings it from within and out. It doesn't find the need to be inspired by what's around you. It doesn't like, oh, I need that to feel good. I need to be with those people to feel good. It's like, I'm going to feel good because I feel good. I'm going to crank my tunes. I'm going to dance around my house naked. I'm going to feel really good because that's what helped me to feel good. Like I'm going to play. I'm going to enjoy pleasure. I'm going to enjoy um, touch, tactile, feel, like baking, like making things, creating with your hands is very, for me, orange kyanite. And when you're able to kind of create, move the energy around you, you can create more, you can manifest more, you can bring more into the reality that you're in from kind of nowhere. And I find that kind of expression of creativity in orange kyanite really pure, really honest, really uplifting and positive and joyous. And so many of us kind of get creatively kiboshed, you know, like don't be too weird, don't be so passionate about that, like simmer down, calm down, like settle. Like no, I'm not going to calm down. I'm going to be passionate. I'm Sicilian and I'm Spanish. I am not going to calm down. You calm down. Like maybe I need to be excited, maybe I need to be zesty, maybe I need to shout, and maybe I need to be a bit angry, maybe I need to feel those feelings, because fire is an integral part of life. Without that big ball of sun that we are wrapping ourselves around and whirling ourselves around, we don't exist. So fire, passion, energy is necessary. And if you've kind of held that in and held that back, that's where I think orange kyanite could be exceptionally useful.
I find the green, with it being really good for helping with those energy vampires, when those things aren't draining our life, it actually helps to bring back our appetite for life as well. So I definitely agree that when sometimes we feel when we lack energy that we need to add something, sometimes it might be that we need to take something away to bring that energy as well. Now, I'm going to contradict myself a little bit because we've talked about kyanite, making sure you don't get distracted. But I was thinking that, when I was preparing for today's episode, I had to go get my four different coloured kyanites out. And a question I get asked a lot is, how do you store your crystals? Where do you keep them, type of thing? So to peer behind the curtains of what we all do, I have some secure locked cabinets for all my nice gem, my more expensive specimens, that type of thing. But my more common little pieces like this live in coloured trays, and they're all colour coordinated. So there's a black one and a green tray, and that. So I had to go to four different trays today. So I've got a bit of a twofold question for you both. First of all, how do you store your crystals? And then I'll come back to the second part of the question in a second. So Kyle, what about yourself? Where are all your crystals? It sounds like they're in 10,000 different grids.
They are here around me. I am a purveyor of IKEA box shelves, and I am lucky, we don't have children. We have well-behaved cats. And so they're all out. They are literally out in grids on display. None of my crystals enjoy being boxed or put into anywhere that light can't reach them, at least just a little bit. And I have these upstairs, downstairs, in different parts of the house. There are some that are in like dark corners because, they're in bigger grids. They're in, certain places of the house that are necessary. But if you can, have them out, because then you can connect to them, you can touch them, you can feel them, you can respond to the one that picks up the light that morning and you go, oh, that's the one I'm going to work with today. I think when they're out and you can see, touch and connect to them, you can work with whoever you need to, be more connected to them. Obviously, that's not possible for everyone, and I apologize. High shelves, cabinets with, faces on them, obviously are really useful. I know lots of people that have them in drawers because why not? But I always say, if you can have them out, do.
What about yourself, Nicholas?
Pick a surface, there's a rock on it. That's That's pretty much how it works in my life. I have lots of little boxes with compartments in them. I have colored drawers where I store things. I have lots on display. I also just have them anywhere else I can find, because I have that terrible, terrible problem that I think we're all stricken with, too many rocks. I hope my husband didn't hear me say that part out loud, but maybe it's too many rocks for the resources I have to store them and sort them and find them in the future. And I've used all manner of organization. I prefer I have for most of my life preferred to group similar things together, especially given that color is not always my strength. It's not my first place to go. But that being said, I have these brightly colored little drawers, and I kind of sort of have rocks sorted by color in them. If not by color, then by action. So, it's mostly the colors of the rainbow plus a few little extras in there, but a lot of brown and black and other kind of similarly grounding metallic stones are in the red tray because of that grounding quality that many of those stones might have. I have a few very heart-centered stones in the green tray, even though they're not green. And then, it raises that awful problem that if you want something like calcite, or fluorite. You're one of those trays. So those I tend to kind of compartmentalize and just group together. So like I have a box of most of my calcites. I have a box of, most of my agates in one place, most of my jaspers in one place. So that way I can go, oh, that's a jasper. I'm going to check the jasper box.
Now, and the other part of my question that people often ask is it okay to store them all together? Now, my answer is generally crystals grow next to each other in combination, that type of thing. They don't all need to be kept apart in that way. I think when it comes to wearing crystals, now, Kyle the Maximus may totally disagree with me. I'm a minimalist and I'm like, choose a color or choose a couple of crystals, otherwise you could have too much conflicting energy on yourself, but all be aware of the crystals you've got and don't wear something uplifting with an amethyst because they may have opposing impacts. But my theory is they can all be stored together, but be mindful of what you have when you're around it as well, because of I guess, the recipe that you're creating. What do you reckon, Kyle? Can they all be stored together? And can they all be worn together, Kyle?
Listen, if I get the chance, one day I will try and wear every crystal that has ever been in my collection. I will make myself into that meme of the Queen of Chunk, and she's like the Adam Tots cartoon, and she's full of crystals. Um, it like I'm not like this all the time. When I'm working, when I'm like focusing on a certain thing, that's when I load up because I'm working on different things, and I'm not trying to be obnoxious, but we're all complex. I find myself complex, and I struggle with my own complexity sometimes, and I find these different crystals, all of these different layers, work on different things. When I'm by myself, when I'm doing very little, often I have very little on, or I pare it back to very simple one or two crystals at a time. Um, I think we're all different, right? I think especially through this process, the way the three of us are, I think we're the embodiment of kind of air, fire, and earth. Like there's that kind of the four nations combined, and with Ashley as well being a bit more water. Like I think we all have who we are. We all are different. So work with what works for you. If you feel drawn to wear lots, and you can do so. If you find it overwhelming, don't, because it's not going to be good for you. There's this whole thing, like some people need less sleep than everyone else. I need less sleep. My body will wake up after 5 hours. It will, and I will be awake. That's it. My body's like, you're done. You're finished. You can move on and do something else with your time now. You've rested enough. And it's like, okay, that's what I need to do. But I know most people in the world, if they were given 5 hours sleep, they won't be functioning throughout the day. They won't be able to get through the day. And I know that that is most people. I'm not most people. This is what works for me. Trial and error. Work with what you have. Try lots. Okay, that's too much. Try one or two. But also When it comes to crystals, you need to get to know them first before you can get them to play with others, I feel. Like I can get them to work with each other because I've worked with them all individually. I've gone through the process with each one individually. So I understand what each one is doing, so I can pair them together, if that makes sense.
Totally, totally. Nicholas, do you think that anyone should have qualms about storing crystals together?
We're limited by the space we've got, by the number of plastic containers we've got, by the number of shells in our rooms. So we make do with what we can. My general take is crystals get along just fine nearly all the time, but humans are more finicky. So you might find a combination of things that absolutely does not work if you store them together. And my ideal remedy for that is to learn how to mind your own business energetically. That's easier said than done, but it is actually much easier with rocks than it is with more volatile energies, more changeable and malleable energies like people. So if you can manage to kind of shift the dial of your psychic sensitivity or energetic sensitivity away from what all the rocks in the background are doing, then you'll be just fine. I have been asked so many times in my life at trade shows or in crystal shops or with my own personal collection or the museum I work for, 35,000 plus specimens. How can you stand to be around all of those crystals? Well, I mean, quite frankly, I'm not having a conversation with 35,000 specimens simultaneously. Just like if I was in a room with 20 people, I wouldn't be having 20 individual conversations. It's not possible. So if you're trying to tune in to every little thing being stored together, the problem's actually on you and not on the rocks.
I love that. I love that. Well, hopefully we've given you some work to do with your kyanites and the different colors, but also maybe you need to go and restore, rearrange, and redecorate your house, moving some of those rocks out of boxes into boxes and putting them in color coordination. We'd love to know how you do that because I don't think there is any one definitive answer, but it's just about you and your crystals and their relationships with each other. We'll be back next week when we explore another amazing gift from Mother Earth. And I will give myself a little plug. If you want to meditate with your kyanite, jump on iTunes, search my name and kyanite, and there's a guided meditation there that will take you through balancing your chakras with kyanite as well. Until next week, we'll see you then. Take care and blessed be.